This is Tanner Jacobson and Kodey Howard, who are facing multiple charges in Washington. Jacobson is charged with driving a suspended license and reckless driving. Howard is in court for failure to appear in court, first-degree trafficking in stolen property, second-degree burglary, and third-degree driving with a suspended license. These two inmates wait for District Court Judge R.W. Buzzard to hear their case in Lewis County Courtroom. Although their crimes were troubling, what they did in court was even more shocking.
I said, what am I doing? What did I just do?
While waiting, they noticed that there was no court official in sight. Jacobson and Tanner decided it was their lucky day and attempted to make a daring escape. Both men, still in their handcuffs, made a break for it. They ran out of the courtroom and down a flight of stairs. Someone in court wanted to go after them, but changed their mind. That person wasn't Judge Buzzard. Judge Buzzard has had his fair share of drama in court. Today, he wasn't going to make it easy for these two. Judge Buzzard sprang into action. He didn't waste a second. He swiftly removed his robe and started chasing after them. He decided it was time to ditch the courtroom formalities and show off his sprinting skills. And was he good? Judge Buzzard raced down 4 flights of stairs after the fleeing duo. They managed to make it to the last floor, and the exit door was the only thing preventing them from freedom. Howard was the first to feel the long arm of the law, as Buzzard managed to catch him before he could escape into the wild. Score 1 for justice. Jacobson flew past the door, but was eventually apprehended by the authorities a few blocks away. The runaway inmates were taken back to court, and an additional charge of second-degree escape was added to their existing charges. Howard was reportedly sentenced to 3 years in prison, while Jacobson was sentenced to a year in jail. In an interview, both men admitted that they regretted their actions and that it was a spur-of-the-moment decision.
There's nothing I can do now. I'm screwed.
I would be out of here if I wouldn't have ran.
The judge may have chased down Jacobson and Howard. However, the same wasn't the case for Rashad Hawkins. This is Rashad Hawkins, who's facing charges for failing to pay child support in Tennessee. The 33-year-old Tennessee man found himself on the wrong side of the law. You see, Rashad is in court for failing to pay child support. As if ignoring his responsibilities is not bad enough, what Rashad did in court was even more mind-boggling. Things took a turn when the judge sentenced him to serve some time behind bars. But Rashad had other plans in mind. In an audacious move, Rashad, who was on the second floor of the Meigs County Court, decided to make a run for it. Rashad, who appears to have a knack for dodging his responsibilities, bolted out of the courtroom. Before anyone could understand what was happening, Rashad hopped the rail, jumped to the ground floor, and took off on foot like he was in an action movie. Now, Rashad thought he had successfully evaded the authorities, but little did he know that karma has a funny way of catching up to you. Fast forward to May 30th, the Harrodsburg Police Department in Kentucky got wind of a trespasser, causing a stir in town. It was none other than our fugitive friend, Rashad. Patrolman Blake Darland from the Harrodsburg PD was on the case, and when Darland confronted Rashad, things got heated. There was a scuffle, and Rashad tried again to run his way out of his punishment. But our persistent officer wouldn't let him get away that easily. After a short chase, Darland managed to apprehend Rashad. And let me tell you, they didn't just find a run-of-the-mill fugitive. Nope. During the search, they discovered multiple bags of drug residue and other drug paraphernalia on Rashad. Rashad faced a new dose of charges, including criminal trespassing, fleeing from the police, assaulting an officer, resisting arrest, and drug possession. Rashad is being held without bond at the Boyle County Detention Center, and let's just say his chances of escaping again seem pretty slim. Rashad's may have been a case of shirking responsibilities. However, some suspects have mastered the act, like in the case of Joel Delgado. This is Joel Sanchez Delgado, who is facing charges for multiple crimes, including obstructing governmental operation, possession of a firearm, theft of services, and even a felony warrant issued by the North Little Rock Police Department in Arkansas. He was a regular guest at the county jail with previous stints behind bars for domestic violence and theft. But on this fateful day, Delgado had something else up his sleeve. If you think his charges are terrible, you'll be stunned by his actions in court. Delgado, the Houdini of Pulaski County Courthouse, was no stranger to trouble. The 41-year-old escape artist gave law enforcement the slip and had everyone scratching their heads as they scrambled to bring him back into custody.
I'm gonna catch you, man. I'm gonna shoot your
As Delgado was being wheeled into court in a neck brace and wheelchair after he claimed he got an injury that prevented him from standing up from a previous arrest, no one expected the incredible disappearing act he was about to perform. With a magician's precision, he redirected the policeman's attention by pretending his shoe had slipped. When the deputy's attention was momentarily diverted, averted, he sprang out of his wheelchair and made his move. The stunned deputy gave chase, but Delgado was agile and elusive. However, Delgado's taste of freedom was short-lived. Hours later, he was back in cuffs and facing even more charges, including felony escape. Like before, he claimed again that he couldn't walk. This time, he was handcuffed to the stretcher. In the end, Delgado's antics caught up with him. He was handed a 4-year sentence in mid-2019. However bad you think Delgado's case was, it can't be compared to the shocking case of the Russian Leonid Greyser. This is Leonid Greyser, who's facing charges for murder in Moscow. This troubled teenager found himself in a glass cage in Shabinsky District Court after the gruesome murder of his sister, 21-year-old Ariada Korol. The poor girl was found naked and stabbed multiple times in the hallway of their shared apartment. Greyser had an utterly bizarre explanation for his heinous act. According to him, Satan himself ordered him to commit this gruesome crime. Yeah, you heard that right. He claimed to have drawn demonic symbols on his sister's body and his head, using their blood. Witnesses were in shock as Greyser begged to be freed from the clutches of Satan, claiming that the devil had incited him to kill his sister. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, his confession to the authorities didn't mention anything about Satan or Lucifer. When asked why he killed his sister, he simply replied, "It was necessary. I did what I had to do." But the unsettling twists don't end there. During his court appearance, Greyser attempted a daring escape. He climbed through a hole in the courtroom ceiling. The police officers watched in awe as he entered the roof space above. However, our escape artist's plans were quickly foiled when 3 armed guards pulled him back, not holding back on the batons. They even had to resort to tasers to bring him down. In the end, Greyser found himself right back where he started, losing his trousers in the process. His audacious attempt to flee the courtroom will undoubtedly go down in the books as one of the most daring escape endeavors. Greyser's behavior may be consistent with that of a delusional psychopath. However, not every suspect was unsuccessful. There was the case of Jayson Cordero. This is 33-year-old Jayson Mendoza Cordero, who's facing charges for retail fraud and disorderly conduct in Michigan. Jayson Mendoza Cordero, a Pontiac, Detroit native, found himself facing the music in a Rochester Hills court. He had just been sentenced to a seemingly reasonable 90 days in jail for his crimes, but oh boy, did he have other plans in mind. Jayson's crime may have been mild, but his action in court was anything but. Right after the judge delivered his sentence, Cordero decided to go for a walk, or should I say, a run for it. Cordero looked around and noticed that there were no police officers in court, and he thought, who's going to stop me? He made a bold and, let's face it, foolish move by simply walking out of the courtroom. He thought he knew better than the judge, but then, just as he was nearing the door, the absent police officer entered the courtroom through another door and sighted the escaping suspect. The officer quickens their step to intercept Cordero, and then, like a bolt of lightning, he makes a break for it, walking through the public gallery and straight out the front door. Judge Nancy Carniak's jaw dropped when she realized what was happening, but it gets even crazier. The officer, probably channeling their inner superhero, decides to chase after Cordero. It's like a real-life game of cat and mouse. We've got the convict trying to outrun justice and the court official hot on his heels. The dramatic chase continues outside the courthouse, where a CCTV camera catches Cordero sprinting across a nearby road and disappearing into the woods. However, dear Cordero's bid for freedom was short-lived. He was reportedly recaptured 5 to 10 minutes later in a wooded area in front of the Oakland County Sheriff's Office. Karma has a way of catching up, doesn't it? He was swiftly taken back to the Oakland County Jail, but not without consequences. Cordero's escape stunt landed him additional charges, including escaping lawful custody, resisting and obstructing a police officer. If you thought these courtroom escapes were shocking, you'd be amazed at this video of cop killers reacting to life sentences.